with providing assistance to refugees. So these are just some of the ways that ACN is helping the Church to deal with the realities. But now I'm interested to hear more from our two esteemed guests about the situation on the ground and how the Church is responding. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Regina. And now I am pleased to hand over to His Beatitude, Sviatoslav Shevchuk, to listen to his statement.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency, dear friends. Thank you very much for this possibility to share with you, to convey to you our hopes and pains, but also to be able to bring an attention on Ukraine again. First of all, I have some good news from Ukraine. We are alive. This is a miracle, but we are. But also, we as a church in Ukraine, among the pains of war, destructions, death, and so many injuries, we are bringing hope to our people. Church as a mother takes care of its own children and is trying to journey with them through this very difficult period of our history. Next, good news from Ukraine is that the human Christian solidarity works, give a possibility to save so many lives. Human and Christian solidarity worldwide is efficient. And especially in the last year, we were able to withstand with the biggest humanitarian crisis in Europe after the Second World War. And nobody in Ukraine died because of hunger, thirst, or other humanitarian causes. That is a good news. And also, thank you very much to all our friends from Church in Need organization for your courage, for your visit that you paid to us in this last years, for your journey with us in this very painful circumstances. Thank you for being with us in this very difficult moment of our own journey. But also thank you very much for highlighting that the war in Ukraine started 10 years ago with the Russian invasion and annexation of Crimea, with the destructions of Ukrainian cities in the eastern and southern Ukraine, especially in Donbass. And thank you very much for bringing again attention in Ukraine on our suffering, because as Regina Lynch already mentioned, the war in Ukraine is becoming more and more forgotten war. And each time we have a possibility to speak out in behalf of the suffering people of Ukraine, we can save many lives in the future. Thank you very much, and I'll be more than happy to be able to respond to your questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the meaningful words, your Beatitude. If you have any questions, please submit them in the chat, because before we would like to listen to His Excellency, Monsignor Kulbokas. Thank you for being with us today. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Maria. I welcome to His Beatitude, Sviatoslav, and all our friends here. As already His Beatitude and other bishops, Greek Catholic and Roman Catholic bishops mentioned on other occasions, Catholics of Ukraine are very thankful to aid to the Church in Need, because your representatives have contacted the eparchies, the dioceses, the parishes on the very difficult situations, and from the very beginning of the war, and especially from the full-scale invasion. So all the bishops sent your presence very active and very appreciated. So, and they are all very thankful to what you do. Actually, as already you, Maria, mentioned, and Regina and his Beatitude, this war is ongoing for already 10 years, and it's not just a theory, because frequently here at the Apostolic Nunciature, I meet family members of prisoners of war and also civil prisoners. Some of them live in captivity for already 7, 8 years. So not only those who are in captivity in the last two years. And from time to time, we also discuss with his Beatitude if how much we mention our Greek Catholic priests, Father Ivan and Father Bogdan, who are in captivity, and we don't know exactly where they are kept, in what situation they are kept, but mentally, psychologically, we are with them. Every morning we start our prayers thinking about them, because they have no such possibility to celebrate the liturgy, to be with people. So the situation, especially of those who live on the front line or are in captivity, is like it's more than a purgatory. It's unbelievable. And even if we meet here many people who try to do something, there is a large category of persons whom we have no possibility to reach, even to bring food or water. And of course, then the situation changes when we go from east to west. So going from east to west, normally the situation is a little bit better. But for example, also priests and bishops are telling me constantly that all the schools, imagine all the schools which are present in Kharkiv region, Zaporizhia, Dnipro region, Kherson, almost all of them are closed for already 4 years. So at the beginning it was the COVID time. Now it's the full-scale invasion time. For 4 years, there is a big part of country with no schools in presence. So there are some school boys and girls who know their schools only from online teaching. And as already we know, in some cities, like in Kharkiv, there are projects of building underground kindergartens and underground schools. So sometimes we are obliged to live in underground, as also the liturgies, the meetings in some churches have taken place in the underground churches for a long period, and sometimes they continue like this. The support from exterior is very important, is very appreciated, but of course, only the bigger players, the bigger institutions like yours are able to continue. Those who are smaller groups, smaller voluntary groups, some of them, they have given up because they receive less donations. They have difficulties, technical difficulties in crossing the borders, technical difficulties in bringing their humanitarian help here. So in some occasions, the assistance is diminishing. And then the aspect of understanding what is going here and being informed about the situation in Ukraine. I understand that from one point of view, it is understandable, it is normal. It is normal because even when myself, I go to the western regions of Ukraine, already I don't feel very well myself because I find people more relaxed than in central areas, and especially if we compare with eastern or southern areas like Odessa, Kharkiv, Zaporizhia. So if it happens already inside Ukraine, that some people are more relaxed, so for me, it's quite understandable that abroad, for people, it is quite difficult to imagine and to understand what is happening here. And sometimes some people are tempted to think that everything has already finished, but we have hundreds and hundreds of lives lost every day, military and civilians. So here the church, when we as church, we operate as a united body, at least we give this testimony of being close to people. Because otherwise, also the politicians, they tend to think only in military terms and in political terms. But in my understanding, when we work in trying to save lives and to save families, to save parishes, it's the most important work that we can do, because we show that at the center it's the person, the human person, children, and all of the person. So in that case, if we show enough the situation of the people who suffer, also the politicians are invited to rethink what they are doing here, because the war has no possible argumentation, has no possible motivation to support already the idea of war. So I would say that the humanitarian assistance and your presence, your closeness to Ukrainian people is a part of prayer that we are doing, all of us together, asking the Lord and asking the people to bring back peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Now we have some time for questions, and I think I have already gathered some of the ones you submitted in the chat. Also, some of you sent it to me as well, so we will start with this. Please, if you have any other questions, just write it in the chat. We will. I will try to formulate them in a quite logic way without going too much back and forward. So the first questions, I see that there are two, at least, to his Beatitude, Shevchuk, speaking about the visit of Cardinal Tsupis. There are two about the peace mission, if it's working so far, how is it working, what fruits had it brought so far, and what are the expectations of this visit?
Yeah, thank you very much. Really, on those, especially last 2 years, we as a church are discovering a new way to give to our people a spiritual and pastoral care. And I would say that we can call this a special pastoral work as a pastoral care of people in sorrow, in grief, and those who are lost their dearest members of the family. The children in Ukraine are most vulnerable part of our society. And it is why the very unique diplomatic mission of Cardinal Tsupis was especially paying attention to the Ukrainian children. Let me give you some numbers, just in order to give you an idea how children in Ukraine are suffering during this war. So more than 500 children officially are registered as those who have been killed in Ukraine. More than 1,200 children are wounded. Here, maybe you will have a possibility to see small video about the unbroken children of Ukraine, who even after heavy wounds, heavy loss of their arms, are able to withstand and to go forward in their life. So we are very grateful to Holy Father Francis that he was particularly interested to the assistance of the Ukrainian children. Officially, Ukrainian state declared that almost 20,000 Ukrainian children were kidnapped by the Russians. But Russians themselves are reported different numbers. Almost 800,000 Ukrainian children were deported to Russia. According to the Ukrainian officials, in the beginning of this year, in the January 2024, 388 children from Russia came back home to Ukraine. Each story is different. Each child is unique, but there were almost 6 different official scenarios how Ukraine was able to recover kidnapped children. How was efficient the mission of Cardinal Suppi, and how many children were liberated thanks to his particular mission, we don't know. But I think that if we will unite our efforts in different levels, diplomatical, humanitarian, even with a special assistance of the journalists from different countries, more and more children from Russia will be rescued and will be able to come back to Ukraine, to their home again. The last horrible story happened a few days in Kharkiv. After a drone attack, whole family was burned out in their house on night. Father, mother with three children. And it was shocking to see those images when mother holding his children in her arms, burned alive at night in their own house. So that is, in few words, the response to your question.
Thank you. In the name of the colleagues. Now we have 2 questions. They're a little bit more, they are coming from OSV News, from Gina Christians. The first question is about the Russian occupation official in Zaporizhia Oblast. He outlawed the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church. Could you share your Beatitude? Could you share your thoughts on what the impact of further Russian occupation will be on the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church? Will it lead to the underground church again? That is the first question. And the second, maybe for both of you, your Beatitude and your Excellency, could you share your thoughts on the significance of recognizing these attacks as genocide, which will trigger the duty of the 123 nations to intervene? So let's first ask to the first question about the outlawed of the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church in Zaporizhia.
The matter of fact is that in the occupied territory in the eastern and southern Ukraine, the very possibility to exist and to be with our people for the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church is getting more and more difficult until the moment that it is not possible anymore. Right now, there is no any Catholic priest in this side of Ukraine. We received an information that even in Donetsk, when our people were going to the church to pray each Sunday without the priest, a few weeks ago, that church was seized and the doors of the church was closed for the people. Especially in the occupied territory of Zaporizhia, the Russian authorities issued a special decree which prohibited the existence of the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church. They confiscated the church properties, and those people who were used to go to our churches in that part of Ukraine, even without the presence of their priests, as it was also in Donetsk, they are not allowed anymore. So people are praying in their homes. They are, if they can, follow our liturgical services online. They are trying to reach their priests by phone, but the very existence of our church is prohibited. The question, is it possible to survive as a church in the so-called underground circumstances? We don't know for sure, because when we will compare the possibilities, to at least survive as a church in the private space of the persons in the Soviet times, probably today it will be very difficult, because people in the occupied territory really are under their total control by the Russian authorities. There is no anymore a private space. And to practice your Catholic faith is getting more and more difficult. And the second question was about the genocide.
How important is to recognize this as genocide?
Well, I think that it is very important to bring an attention to the tragedy which is going on right now in Ukraine. The crime of war. Considering the very term of genocide, what does it mean, genocide? We can testify that what is happening right now in Ukraine is a genocide, because the state power, particular government, decided to eliminate the existence of the whole nation. People are killed in Ukraine because they are Ukrainians. We witnessed such a mass killing nearby Kyiv in Bucha. Russian soldiers were asking, "Are you Ukrainian?" Your response will be yes, you will be killed. They had a list of the persons who were professionals, artists, even sportsmen, bringing any kind of expression of the national identity, culture, of any national symbol, as perhaps teachers or poets. You will be killed among the first. And mass killing in Ukraine now is becoming more and more widespread. So, according to those markers of the war crime, we can describe this situation in Ukraine as a genocide. And I think it is very important to recognize that such a war crimes is happening. And we are grateful to the international institutions who are coming in Ukraine and are investigating those war crimes. It is very important to condemn those war crimes, because if we would not, that kind of criminal behavior will continue, will replicate. will invade other nations in other part of the world. So to recognize as a genocide means to stop, to say no more, to give a justice to those who were victims of that kind of crimes. The people of Ukraine are asking to be listened to our pain to be revealed to the world, and to the aggressor to be stopped.
Thank you. Now I would like to ask Your Excellency, maybe if you have a comment of the visit of Cardinal Zuppi. Somebody's asking as well on your opinion, and also about the topic of how important it is to recognize the atrocities who are going on in Ukraine as genocide. Thank you.
Thank you. After the visit of Cardinal Zuppi to Kiev, which took place already quite a time ago, it was in June, on the 5th and 6th of June, there is a very precarious, I would say, mechanism which is in place. For example, there are regular meetings in Moscow, at the Apostolic Nunciature in Moscow, concerning this issue of Ukrainian children deported to Russia. So they meet regularly, and from time to time we update from Ukraine our information, and we see what are the reactions, what are the answers. Up to now, the results are very, very, very minimal, because we know clearly only about one young boy returning to Ukraine, Bogdan Yermokhin, on the 18th of November last year. So we see that the mechanism is here, but for the moment being, the results are very, very minimal. And still, the presidential office of Ukraine has already thanked the Holy See, along with Qatar, for at least for their efforts in trying to bring children back. And of course, the Secretary of State, Cardinal Zuppi, myself, and my colleague in Moscow, we continuously try to think what else we can do on this issue. This is a little bit connected also to the second question, that of genocide. As you can imagine, I have less freedom in talking about such issues, because myself not being head of the Holy See, it's not up to me to decide what kind of statement I should do about such an issue, because it has very strong implications. It should be the Holy Father or the Secretary of State to do declarations on this issue. But I would mention the facts, the practical facts. When I speak with civilians who have been exchanged and who returned to Ukraine, we speak about the conditions in which they have been kept in captivity, and it's horrible, believe me. And when we speak about military, it's even worse. Some of them, when they return to Ukraine, they are unable to speak to people because they are so traumatized that they have no more possibility to communicate as before in their lives. And also imagine that many people, when they say, oh, we have civilians, we have also doctors, civilian doctors or military medicine personnel in captivity in Russia, they don't understand how it is possible that according to all the Geneva Conventions, all the humanitarian law, they should not be kept in captivity. So they don't understand how is it that they are still there. And then their conclusion on many occasions is that neither the Holy See, neither other embassies here in Kiev or around the world, we are doing nothing, because it's their conclusion, because they don't understand. When I receive these people, when I explain that if we don't speak loudly about what we do, it doesn't mean that we do nothing. But still, this aspect, I think, explains a lot. It's unbelievable for their family members. How is it like this? And I would also underscore that in the last months, last weeks, last months, one of the dimensions where the background diplomacy has been more effective is in building connections with those countries who are not openly supporting Ukraine because they have their reasons, they are friends of Russia, they have partnerships. But on these humanitarian issues, it is very important to involve also them in order to help us and to help Ukraine. Now, I would not mention the details, but here on the humanitarian aspect, in my understanding, it is very important to involve all the world, all around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Now we come to a very interesting question, because I think many people have the same impression from Pavol Ravara. He is from Slovakian, and he's asking, at the end of January, Slovak Prime Minister Roberto Fico doubted that there was a war in Kiev. According to him, there is normal life in the Ukrainian capital. What would you say to him? And I was thinking our visit last December, when we visited both of you, and you were telling you cannot see the war, but it is everywhere. So please, could you give a statement on this not war, the war that we cannot see? Maybe first your Beatitude, yes, and then Your Excellency.
My response will be come and see. Of course, that may be the very modality of perceiving the war in Kiev changed, but the capital of Ukraine is a target number one for massive shelling attack of the missiles and rockets. Almost the second day we are experiencing such attacks. Of course, Ukrainians are trying to shut down the majority of those missiles, those riots, but many of them really reach their target. And so please come and see, visit those people who were injured or the families of the killed. Today we received a news that the number of those who died in Kyiv because of the last massive missile attacks, which happened last week, still is increasing. So 7 people were killed during the last massive attack. So not be the someone who is repeating the Russian propaganda. Come and see, come and touch the wounds of the people, even those who live in the capital of Ukraine, in Kyiv.
And allow me to add that his Beatitude, for example, he didn't mention that some of the missiles, I saw them with my eyes in videos, have been taken off very close to his residence. And some drones have damaged even his house and the Greek-Catholic cathedral. So his Beatitude has been directly hit, not personally, but the house where he lives. And it happens very frequently that during the Holy Mass, we hear missiles or drones passing. But if we hear them, it's already a good sign, because when a drone, or especially a missile, when it arrives to one's house, we don't hear. It's too late to hear. If we hear them, it's already a good sign, because we are not directly hit. And I know personally some families, some persons also here in around the nunciature, also kilometers square kilometer where we live. Some families, they lost their dear persons not during the attacks, but afterwards, because of stress, because of heart attacks. So sometimes their houses are damaged, and then for 6-7 weeks they are traumatized, and some of them they die because of heart attacks 5-6 days later. And all the doctors are stressing that cancer percentage of immunitary diseases and heart diseases has increased very, very high. So sometimes, in order to understand what we live, probably, as his Beatitude told, come and see, because even for us, it's already, we would say, normal life, because we have already been used to this life. But I will use the example what one of the psychologists gave me in one of the hospitals. She told, if you ask a person who returned from the captivity, if you ask, how is he doing? The answer will be, I'm fine, I returned to freedom, I'm fine. But when you start working with that person, then you discover that that person is unable to paint a picture, because he will use only the black color. He is unable to use all other colors, because his life has become a black plot occupying everything. That's all.
Thank you, because I think this leads us to a topic that is also mentioned in some of the questions, what I will call the invisible war that affects everything. You cannot maybe see the war everywhere in Ukraine. This is true. Maybe in some parts, as you have mentioned, Kiev, and of course on the border, and many other cities are very attacked. But this is a war that affects everybody in the heads, in the hearts, breaks family, destroyed the society. I remember your Beatitude, you say the future of this country is bound to how to deal with the trauma when we were there. Could you speak more about this huge pain that is affecting the society in Ukraine and how to deal with this?
Thank you very much. As I mentioned in the beginning, we are trying to learn a new way to offer the pastoral care to the people, to journey to those people who are in grief, in sorrow, and in great pain. Because even how you can start talk to the person who is in the big pain, what words to use to talk to the mother who is crying out because her son is killed, and you know, it is true that maybe the future of Ukraine, the future of the church, depends on how we will be able to respond to this huge need of the people in Ukraine to overcome the war trauma. And I have to testify that the war, the trauma, already touched a heart of Ukrainian society, which is a family. So let me describe our pastoral care for Ukrainian family, and you will have an idea what is the life in Ukraine like. Before the war started 10 years ago, in the pastoral care for family, we would have to deal with two different groups of families. So-called dysfunctional family, who are in the risk of the divorce, or the family of the migrants, because after the fall of the Soviet Union, many Ukrainian women especially went outside of Ukraine looking for a job. But today, the majority of the Ukrainian families lives in separation, because man is in the Ukrainian army, and a woman with a child is moved out of their own city, or even outside of Ukraine. 14 million Ukrainians were forced to leave their houses. 14 million. And today we have new groups of families to deal with. The families of those who were killed, the families of those who were injured. We have officially registered 50,000 people who lost their legs or their hands. 50,000. You can imagine what family life looks like if your wife or your son or your husband lost his hand, his legs. We have officially registered 200,000 heavily injured persons in Ukraine. And majority, they were accepted by their families, and family takes care of those injured. Can you imagine the pain? Can you imagine the feel of being abandoned by everybody without a capability to find a good medical assistance, even the medicine for pain relief for those people? But also we have a special group of families of those who were missed in the battlefield. Officially, we have 35,000 people, soldiers, civilians who were missed. And I have to say, the life of their relatives is a constant torture. I met other day young women. She is 23 years old with 2 children. And she was asking me, am I a widow? Should I pray for my husband among those who are alive or among those who are already dead? Anytime we have new exchange of the prisoners, this woman is in a new shock, because very often those who were in the list as a missed appeared as those who are alive, and coming back after the exchange. So the constant spiritual and psychological torture of a whole family. And each day, that person is asking, am I doing everything which I can to bring back home my husband? His Excellency already mentioned that we have such 2 missed priests. We don't know they are alive or they are already killed. Nobody gives us any information. They were arrested in the city of Berdyansk and then imprisoned. And until now, no information. But a new group of family, which also is very important to mention, a family of those who are war prisoners. For years, they are asking help to find their relatives and bring them home. Each time I would visit parishes, simple families, I will receive constantly new names of those who were kept as prisoners of the war. And I would like to express my personal gratitude to our nuncio in Ukraine and to the Holy Father, because constantly, each month almost, I'm composing new lists of the prisoners, giving those names to the Vatican authorities. That is a part of my pastoral care for those people. At least do something. So Ukrainian family today is in the constant torture. The official statistics says that in last year, 2023, 170 new families were registered, but 120,000 families divorced. So this is the highest numbers for divorce in the history of the independent Ukraine. 70% of those who were married last year divorced. And to find a way how to journey with those people, and find a way how to be a good shepherd to those who are in sorrow and grief, is a big challenge for our church. Very often you can do nothing, but unique way to be a good shepherd is just to be present, to stay and cry there where the people are crying, to hold a hand of this woman or this soldier who is experiencing the physical pain, to be there where people are crying today. This is, I have to say, the biggest special challenge for me, for our priests, for our church today.
Your Excellency, I don't know if you want to add something briefly, otherwise, because we have 10 minutes, but to the topic.
Go ahead, Maria, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Okay, because we have, as I told you in the beginning, a good number of communicators who would like to die in the land. They are working with ACN or the freelancers or cooperators for ACN. They will really start to communicate about the needs of the church in the Ukrainian between this period of time and the dying land. So they're asking me if you could maybe have a word for them. What is the specific help that ACN can give to the church in this situation, and how important is to support the church to make able to support the population in this very difficult situation?
Well, according to the calculation of our humanitarian groups of aid, maybe the most important challenge for us is a food emergency. More or less 7 million Ukrainians right now are experiencing food emergency, especially in those zones who are in the 50 kilometers zone nearby the front line. So we constantly are asked to convey to those people on that territories food, basic hygiene items to help them survive in such difficult circumstances. The second priority right now for us is still receiving, hosting internally displaced persons. Even if this massive wave of people who are fleeing away from the front line is decreasing, but people are trying right now to find themselves and to establish themselves not far away from their homes, but in the nearest peaceful village, city, and so on. So our parishes, especially in the central, eastern, and southern Ukraine, are becoming the humanitarian hubs of the social assistance to those people. I have to say that this first euphoria of the humanitarian assistance of Ukraine is going down. So there is no so many spontaneous offering items to those who are in need anymore. So we have to develop our own logistic, how to work on the very, I would say, strategic level to assist those people who are in need. So we do need your help and cooperation to assist to those who are experiencing those food emergency, hosting those who are in the need to be received as an internally displaced persons. But also there is a special program that we are fostering right now called the Healing of the Wounds of the War. We started a special program of the re-education of our priests, nuns, monks, in order to be able to pay an adequate care to those people who are wounded, psychologically, physically, but also to be able to give a spiritual support to those people. And I would like to express our gratitude to Church in Need organization, because we already have a good cooperation to foster such a program. But that program right now is requested not only for the clergy and the religious, but also for teachers, also for the volunteers, to everybody who works with the people. They ask to possibility to open for them such a program. So to be good shepherd to those who are wounded, to acquire a special knowledge, a special skills to assist those people is very important a challenge and a need for us. And also here in chat, you will have a link to see a small video just for 2 minutes. You will see a special center of assistance to the wounded persons, which was organized in the city of Lviv called Unbroken. You will see a good example, because we do need in Ukraine such as centers who can provide good professional assistance to those who need a special kind of rehabilitation, a special prosthesis, because they are kids, young people, not only soldiers. And we learn that a young person, kid, need to have a constant access to the prosthesist. So you cannot make a prosthesis for a young boy, one for a life, because he is growing. He needs a constant assistance by his prosthesist, rehabilitologist, and so on. And we need to create such a new centers in Ukraine to pay such a professional assistance to those people who are in need. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know, Your Excellency, if you have how important it is to support the church in these days.
I would add just two small aspects because his Beatitude has covered main lines of support. I would mention that in some areas, as Beatitude mentioned, people lack water and bread, but then there is a category of priests and voluntary, or including the church, who have need of fuel in order to organize the transportation. So it's already a very important aspect of support of fuel, because it means bringing some food from central areas to thousands of kilometers away. And I would mention also a second aspect, that in some eparchies and dioceses, I already know from some bishops that they are already preparing centers for military who have lost their limbs and who have lost their families, sometimes because they lost them physically, or sometimes because they divorced. Also because it's a huge problem. It is difficult to live together when the experiences are so different after experiencing the war on the front line. So there are also such pastoral projects in support of veterans of war. Thank you.
Very good. I don't know if you have still 5 minutes, because I have one question that is quite sensitive, but I don't want to keep it out. I let it for the very end because it was the first question. But I keep it to the end. And then I have also a request from our Spanish national officers who wanted to invite His Beatitude to Madrid, but it was not possible. So they asked me if you could say 2 words in Spanish. And so the question was, in the beginning, your reaction, what is your comment about, I don't know if you have seen the interview that the Fox channel did to Pat Putin, and if you have any comments about the interview.
I have to be sincere with you. I have no time to watch such interviews because they are too long, and this is just a loss of time for me. And I read several comments, and this is just a crazy ideas, you know, the fantasies of the criminal of war. What how kind of comment can I give to it? I would be better to listen to those who are in pain in Ukraine, to assist wounded persons in Ukraine, not to listen to such a crazy man.
I would add that, yes, I read the interview. I would underscore just one aspect. There was no question about people suffering from war. There was no question to the president of Russia if he understands, if he has some interest in people who are dying, who are losing their families, who are losing their freedom. There was no such question. So here you see the difference between some journalists and some politicians who speak about strategics, politics, and the church, including aid to the church in need. We focus on people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think we have still some topics, but I told you 1 hour. I know that you are very, very busy. So if maybe just really for our colleagues from Latin America, from Spain, because as they want also to put the topic really in the media again in Spain, because many people, as we have spoken at the beginning, forgot about Ucrania. They are thinking of Holy Land, many other issues what is going on. So if it's possible, and sorry for the other speakers and listeners, to give just a short message, your Beatitude in Spanish for the Spanish-speaking people.
Hoy ustedes empiezan un camino muy importante de la penitencia, de la cuaresma. Yo pienso que esto es muy simbólico, que nosotros en este momento podemos prestar nuestra atención a aquellas personas que sufren. Si ustedes escuchen la palabra Ucrania, le pido que se imaginen las personas que necesitan la esperanza, que se imaginen las personas que nosotros tenemos que ayudar, acompañar. Yo quiero aprovecharme esta ocasión para agradecer a todos que rezan por Ucrania, que escuchen la voz del Santo Padre, que cada vez que encuentra a las personas que reza el Ángelus, recuerda, llama, que ustedes no se olviden de rezar por Ucrania. Y muchas gracias por la vuestra solidaridad, por todo aquello que hacen por nosotros. Por favor, no se olviden que Ucrania necesita vuestra atención, vuestra solidaridad, vuestra oración, porque la esperanza de la Ucrania es en el Señor. El Señor que vive entre nosotros, sufre en la carne de nuestro pueblo, pero el Señor que nos va a llevar hacia la resurrección. Muchísimas gracias a todos ustedes.
Thank you very much. And I hope next year, I really hope next year we have another topic on how to reconstruct the country with the beginning of the peace time. Before I say bye-bye to everybody, I would like now to give just my word, the last word to Regina, maybe as a short message to the end of the conference to summarize what we have listened. Thank you, Regina.
Thank you, Maria, and thank you, Your Beatitude, Your Excellency, for sharing with us this afternoon about this terrible tragedy. And listening to you speaking, you know, it sounds like this is Ukraine's own way of the cross. You speak about, mentioned also the spiritual and psychological torture. And I think it's important that we share with our colleagues that SEN is also concentrating a lot now on supporting the psychological spiritual support centers. So far, we have supported 11 of these. But I just would like to assure you that we will not forget the Ukraine. We will continue to support the Ukraine. And I think what His Beatitude mentioned now to our colleagues in Spain, we really have to pray. We have to pray for this country, for an end to the suffering, and that there will be more hopes than pain in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Regina, and thank you all for your participation in the press conference. A special thanks to our speakers, His Beatitude Sviatoslav Shevchuk and Monsignor Visvaldos Kulbokas. I hope it matched your expectations and clarified some questions that you have. We appreciate very much the time and effort you have dedicated to follow the situation of our brothers and sisters in this country who suffer so much. And I would like maybe to ask His Beatitude and His Excellency to hold a short prayer for people in Ucrania and for peace to finish the meeting. I will not say anything more. That will be the end, as it should be always, in the hands of God.
Let's pray our Father together. And I think that is most important Christian prayer for all of us.
Perfect.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you very much. Have you blessed great Lent and joyful day of the resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ.
Thank you, and God bless. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to everybody.